Hello, dear viewers. My name is Jibola Dabo. Keep watching Mid Morning Show.
Yes, you just have to keep watching the mid-morning show on BCOS television. Good morning to all our beautiful viewers out there. You're welcome to another Monday episode of the mid-morning show. How was your weekend? I hope you had a nice rest because I sure did. My name is Tolapo Olaomi. And I always say, it takes two to tango. I never work solo. I have took care of me this
Yep,
morning.
you never work solo. Especially on a Monday.
Or especially on a Monday. It's
don't
so,
work
so
solo.
important.
It's indeed important.
How are you? You are looking so radiant.
I thank God. It's a fantastic month. Welcome to the month of May.
Yeah.
And the year is going so fast. But we are thankful that we are here. And of course, you have to be part of the entire mid-morning.
But I must say,
show today.
still, you are glowing. What's the secret?
I think the secret, like I always say, is to have a good night rest. A lot of us don't have that good night rest. And there's one thing about Monday. Monday is a day that shows up, whether you like it. Whether you like it or not, it shows up. So the best thing is, when you have a busy weekend, ensure that your Sunday night, you sleep well. That's
true.
the basic truth. So when you have a good night rest, it kind of puts you in the right vibe, in the right mood. Instead of you just being all gloomy. It doesn't even always have to be on a Monday morning. When you have a good night rest, your morning, it sets a good tone for your morning. And like I said, Monday comes whether you like it or not.
Whether
So
you
don't
like it
bother
or not.
dragging it. I say I'm tired of Monday. Embrace it because it's a time to start afresh, to have new goals, to have a new vibe, to be able to tell the week, I'm ready for you. I am Adituke Olale, and this is the mid-morning show, and we are here for you to keep you into the right mood, the right tone for the new week. Now, like I said, Mondays, whether you like it or not, he's
Monday
here.
will always come.
For some people, their Mondays are definitely going to be busy. Why for some
Absolutely.
people, when I say busy, they'll be in their office. Why for some people, they are just going to be right in their homes, opening up
Working.
the laptop and ready to work in the comfort of their homes.
Yeah.
But we have some people, they are both at work and also working on their system. So
Well, today
life.
we'll be talking
that's
about...
life right now, globally.
Yes, that is life globally. Today we will be talking, like you always know, Mondays we talk about, topical issues. And today we have a very fantastic topic, a topic that deals to the core of every human being. And that is remote jobs and global pay gap. Today we are going to be talking about what remote jobs are. We'll be talking about what global pay gap. What does it really mean? We'll be talking about the pay and the fairness, the policies and ethics that comes around remote jobs and global pay gaps.
Yeah. That's
Toke,
why I said that we had some people who will just wake up in the morning and they're with their laptops. That's their work.
Yeah.
That's their remote work. They're on their system in the comfort of their homes. But we have some people, like normal office job, they are in their offices doing their jobs. While we have some people, they're having their 9-to-5 job and they also have a remote job. So the question is, what's a remote job? Why is the remote job now becoming a global thing? Why is it not like any normal work? How do you get to be a remote worker? Why is it that it's the same job? We have people who work 9-to-5 and do the same job of a remote worker, and yet the pay for the 9-to-5 is so less than the person who is
who's
actually having
working?
the remote job. It's the same job, it's the same skill, but not the same
Pay.
So there's an imbalance when it
Yeah.
comes to the global system, especially when it comes to jobs. Another interesting aspect of remote job is that we also have people who know what to do, yet they do not get the job online. Is it that they are not fit enough? Or is it that there's a special skill that's attached to having jobs online? So these are things that we're going to be talking about. And also, we have people that are not fully aware of what remote work is all about, how they can go about it, and how much, a lot of things that they can gain having a remote work. And there's a gap, no doubt. And there's a different story when it comes to remote jobs People globally have a lot to say. They don't have enough sleeping hours because of the time zone. They are in the comfort of their homes, yet they do not have time for themselves. These are a whole lot of things that we will be talking about on the show today: remote jobs and the global pay gap. There is a pay gap, no doubt, and we'll be talking about that today. But before we go into the conversation, we have a feature, and the feature is the Eden heart of your computer. It's still the Mid-Morning Show.
Every day, billions of us switch on our devices, phones, tablets, laptops, expecting them to simply work. We open files, send messages, and stream our favorite shows without a second thought. But behind every tap, click, and command lies a silent conductor orchestrating the entire performance. The operating system, or simply the OS. The operating system is the translator between human intention and machine logic. When you click a file, type a sentence, or play a video, it is the OS that interprets your action and instructs the computer on how to respond. It manages memory, runs programs, and coordinates every component, from the tiniest processor chip to the largest storage drive. Without it, your computer would be nothing more than an inert collection of metal and code, a silent machine waiting for instructions it cannot understand. In essence, the OS is the brain of the computer. It keeps everything in balance, overseeing multitasking, security, and communication between hardware and software. It is the reason your apps can run side by side without chaos, and your device can process countless operations in an instant. The story of operating systems begins in the 1950s. Long before personal computers found their way into homes. In those early days, computers were massive room-sized machines filled with blinking lights and endless switches. There were no friendly icons or cursors, just raw code. Programmers had to write every instruction by hand, line by painstaking line. Then came batch processing systems, which allowed computers to execute sets of instructions automatically. It was a modest innovation by today's standards, but at the time, it was revolutionary. It paved the way for multitasking and time-sharing computers in the 1960s, machines that could handle multiple users and processes simultaneously. By the 1970s, a new name entered the scene: Unix. It was powerful, flexible, and designed to be shared across different machines. Unix became the foundation upon which much of modern computing still rests. Its influence spread quietly but deeply, shaping generations of operating systems that would follow. In the 1980s, computing took a leap from laboratories to living rooms. MS-DOS and Mac OS made personal computing accessible, allowing people to interact with their machines through commands, or in Apple's case, an elegant graphical interface. Then came Windows, transforming sterile black text screens into colorful landscapes of icons, folders, and click-friendly buttons. Suddenly, computers were no longer the exclusive tools of scientists. They belonged to everyone. Through the 1990s and 2000s, the rivalry between Microsoft Windows and Apple's Mac OS defined an entire era. Both systems made computing personal, intuitive, visual, and essential to modern life. For many, Windows became the reliable companion of office work, spreadsheets, and email. For others, Apple's design-forward interface embodied creativity, innovation, and art. Operating systems were no longer just background software. They became part of who we were. And while they looked different, their goal remained the same: to make communication between humans and machines as natural as possible. Then came the 21st century, and with it, a revolution that changed everything again. Computing broke free from the desk. Android and iOS brought the power of a desktop computer into the palm of your hand. Suddenly, the OS wasn't just managing hardware. It was learning to understand the user, our touch, our voice, our preferences. From GPS navigation to digital wallets, the operating system became a kind of personal assistant, anticipating our needs before we even spoke them. Mobile systems taught computers to adapt to people, not the other way around, a monumental step toward human-centered computing. But even the most trusted systems must one day retire. As technology races forward, older operating systems eventually reach their limits. They can't keep up with faster processors, new security standards, or smarter applications. Software companies phase them out, ushering users towards newer, safer, and more capable versions. For many, this transition is more than technical, it is emotional. Saying goodbye to a familiar OS feels like parting with an old friend, one that has faithfully stored our memories, powered our work, and connected us to the world for years. Today, the operating system is everywhere, so embedded in daily life that we often forget it exists. It runs your car's dashboard, your smartwatch, your smart TV, even your refrigerator. Every connected device you use depends on an OS designed to make complex processes seem effortless. And in the background, powerful systems like Linux and Unix-based servers run the internet itself, keeping websites, apps, and networks alive around the clock. Without them, the digital world as we know it would simply stop. Tomorrow's operating systems promise to go even further. They'll live in the cloud, powered by artificial intelligence, learning from our routines and adapting across devices in real time. The OS of the future won't just run our machines, it will understand our world. It will predict our needs, secure our data, and seamlessly connect our digital experiences from home to work to everything in between. From the command line to the touchscreen, from bulky desktops to wearable devices, the operating system has evolved alongside humanity itself. It has shaped how we work, play, learn, and connect. For over half a century, these silent systems have powered our progress, guiding us from the age of code to the age of connection. And though their names will change, from Windows to Mac OS, from Android to systems yet to come, their mission remains the same: to bridge the gap between human imagination and machine intelligence.
Good people out there, my name is Olaya Misholade. I'm your quintessential actor. I want to say, keep watching Mid Morning Show and don't touch the dial.
You can't.
You cannot touch it.
You don't want to.
Yes, it's the mid-morning show. Of course, that was a feature on the Eden heart of your computer. And what's the Eden heart of your computer? It's your operating system. So how do we take care of our operating system? What does it entail? That's what the feature was talking about. However, today's topic, like we said before, it is the remote jobs and the global pay gap. There is a global pay gap. Like I said, we have someone in a 9 to 5 in Nigeria having to maybe let's say a graphic designer. But when the remote worker online wants to get paid, is a little bit higher than the person who is actually doing the physical. And people say, why is there that gap? That's what we're going to be discussing on the show today. And also, what does the remote work entail? Why is it the global thing right now? And why is it that so many people are still struggling to get one? Why is it that so many people are still struggling to survive to even hold on to one? So these are a whole lot I will be talking on the show today. And of course, we have a guest who will be taking us into the topic today. He is Mr. Ayola Odekunle. He is a tech enthusiast and a cybersecurity expert. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so let's start from the basics of the remote job and the global pay gap. Don't let us forget global. Now, what does it really mean? Remote and global pay gap. What does it entail?
Well, first things first, I think I've been working remotely for almost 4 years now.
Okay.
And I don't think I want to go back to the office.
I like that.
Why?
I mean, I worked in the office for my first job was with a bank and it was in the office, so you had to go to the office. But after that, I have been working remotely and to speak to the topic, what you just said about remote work and the global pay gap. So firstly, remote work can be done anywhere. Like I could be in Nigeria and be working remotely in Nigeria, right? So first of all, I wouldn't say that the difference is not much if you're in the same locality.
Okay.
But the pay gap has to do when we now talk globally now, when we come to the global scale. The pay gap is not funny at all. I don't even think we can't comprehend it. Somebody who is working in Nigeria, who has I'm using Nigeria as an example, or any other place. So you're working here, let's take a graphic designer for example. The amount that they will pay him, especially if he's being paid in Naira by a Nigerian corporation, the same skill, the same work, not even the same work, I can assure you, probably more than a normal graphic designer would do. Because nowadays, I think that's something I'll speak about later.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the job description is something else.
It's a different ballgame.
Something else, but that's a different thing. But the pay gap, majorly, I think it's just, it has many factors: cost of living, undermining the quality of your workers.
Yeah.
People are not just being paid well, and then there are other countries that have more, like better hiring structure and all of that. So the pay gap is something that I don't think we can finish discussing. Yes. It has been existing for a long time.
Everyone says remote job. And you even hear Nigerians say, I think I want that remote job. So when someone says, I want a remote job, what does it really entail?
All right. So, like I said, I've been working remotely for a while. But I always tell people that want to get a remote job to also maybe work in the office, do an internship that makes you go to the office. Because coming to the office makes you learn discipline. Right? I'm telling you, there's a lot of indiscipline. There's a lot of indiscipline that can happen if you work remotely. So the average Nigerian wants to work remotely, not because of any other thing than just because they want to be lazy. They don't want to go to work. But I'm saying working remotely is a great idea. Right? So when you ask when somebody wants a remote job, what should they do? I feel like the first things that you must do is to expose yourself to a community. Because community is very important in getting remote jobs, especially in Nigeria. Because we, like I born in Nigeria, 3-0.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, because most of these remote jobs are outside the country. Nigeria has yet to fully adjust to the culture of working remotely.
Yeah.
There are many things that we're currently doing in our offices across the country that can be done from the house. It reduces commute expenses, it reduces office expenses, it reduces many things just by working remotely. But for example, take COVID-19. Companies started working remotely because they couldn't come to the office. But in Nigeria, immediately after that, we reverted back to our normal. Everybody should come back to the office.
True.
So when a Nigerian wants a remote job, I think the first place you should be looking at is outside the country.
Yeah, but before we go to that, what are those common remote jobs that Nigerians tend to see and can be a little bit overhyped.
Okay.
Yes. Can you tell us any common remote jobs?
Yeah, so there are many jobs that are remote. All jobs can be done remotely, right? But the common ones that you see a lot of people doing, let's say graphic design, which is now UI UX design, right? At the end of the day, nobody really wants to employ a sole graphic designer. You want to employ a UI UX designer that can do every other thing. So graphic design, virtual assistants, like the name implies, virtual assistant. And then there's also this thing that is getting more popular now, data entry, research associate. So people who do data annotation and all of that. So people bring, because it's grunt work, literally. Nobody wants to be involved in that grunt work. So they bring in Africans and Indians to do stuff like that. And then there are also roles like social media manager, what else? Marketers, digital marketers, and all of that. So those roles are the most common ones that you find. And then, more importantly, if we're moving a little bit higher, tech roles, like web development, cybersecurity, UI UX, like we already mentioned. So majorly tech roles, engineering, front end, back end, all of that. Yes.
So I think there's a lot of misconception when it comes to remote jobs. Some people believe you must go to maybe a classroom to be able to get these skills. Some believe that if you don't have a degree, you might not even get it. So what are those misconceptions that comes along with remote jobs that tends to put so many people off it?
I'll start from the one that you just mentioned, the one about, having to go somewhere to learn the skills. I always say to people, like, the only reason why I would advise you to go is if I've studied you and I see that you can't personally structure your life, you're not disciplined.
Okay.
If you're disciplined, you can learn anything from the comfort of your room, right? You don't really have to go anywhere, right? And then also, these remote jobs are not for a certain, there's also this misconception of age groups. And I'll use a popular example that we all know in Nigeria. Her name is Buki Wright. We know that actress, Buki Wright. Yeah. Buki Wright was an actress for a long time, right? I think for a very long time. She became popular acting. And then she got to a point, I think, when she was 45 or something. She literally rebranded herself. Now she's an information security specialist at that age, and she works remotely. So I'm like, for somebody like that, if somebody like that could do it, I don't think there's any age. People say, oh, you're too old for working remotely, I know somebody whose mom works remotely. So I'm saying that's another misconception. Another misconception is that, oh, these guys that work remotely, they don't really do anything. They're just chilling and all of that. There's no... I personally think working remotely takes more discipline than working 9 to 5. It takes more... to be able to get the job done, there are a lot more distractions. When you're in the office space, you are not really...
You know that
I came here to work.
But there is a time frame for submission of any tasks and all that. So why is there indiscipline when it comes to remote jobs?
Because with remote jobs, if there's a time frame to do your job by, let's say they ask you to submit a task tomorrow, you don't have to do it before you leave the office, right? Because my laptop is with me. I can say, oh, I'll just do it by 9 o'clock. Let me spend my morning sleeping. I'll do it by 12 a.m. Or since you know that you resume by 8 a.m., I can do it by 7:45 before 8. So people tend to be relaxed because I'm not going anywhere. There's nobody watching over me. And again, when you're working 9 to 5, you can't sit in the office and just be watching movies, right? You can't put a movie on your laptop, and when your supervisor passes behind you, you will see what they are not doing anything, right? So you want to be working, you want to look active. But when you're working remotely, you don't necessarily, there's nobody, you can join a meeting and be wearing just it and lie down. Just be saying, oh, can you hear me? Yes. And mute back. Kind of thing.
Okay, so why do you think people, doing the same job remotely now, they often get different pay? Is there a particular reason behind it? Is it because of less skills? Is it because of their qualifications now? What is your take on that?
I think that's where we can now speak more to the global pay gap.
Okay.
For example, I'll use myself as an example. Like when I was working with this bank, and I'll be playing with the numbers so that you can see the gap.
Okay.
I was working with this bank, and the pay was 350,000 naira
per month.
That's a lot of money in Nigerian context. No, maybe not a lot of money, but the average professor earns like maybe 500k for 50k, and you're earning 350,000. other people that are in that same company who are like maybe cashiers in the bank or tellers at the bank, they are earning maybe 120,000 and they are looking up to you that is earning 350. Like, bro, you are rich.
You're rich, yeah.
Meanwhile, the money is nothing, especially if you're in Lagos. But the same role, the same job description,
Yeah.
working a remote job in US will pay you $4,000. The same role, the same position, the same job description. The people that I was with in that team at the bank, they are no longer there right now. Not because there's no longevity, but because those guys are really skilled, and those skills are they are skills that they are looking for outside the country. So once these guys get the opportunity, they leave, and that leads to another conversation entirely about the skill, the brain. What's that thing called? The brain
drain.
Yeah, the brain drain that's happening in Nigeria right now, because I have all these skills. I know what I went through to get all these skills, right? And you're offering me peanuts for it, and there's another company offering me 20 times what you're offering. I'll rather move to that or work there. So when we're talking about why the gap is much, it's just because those other countries pay according to skill and then while we're here, when you work 9 to 5, I don't know. Really,
Okay, now,
it's sad.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
There's something again that another issue that seems to pop up when it comes to remote works. You know, they said there is a gap, of course, disparity with the 9 to 5 workers and the remote workers. But right now, we are seeing a different ball game where we see some job descriptions online are beginning to have less pay in particular zones. For instance, while some of them we say, okay, I want people from a particular zone, but I can only pay this amount.
Oh.
We have that. So why do you think that happened? Is it because, okay, as much as remote jobs are having the nice pay, especially outside the country, maybe people outside the country cannot afford the pay again? Is that why?
No, I think that has happened over time. It was a progressive decay. So
Okay.
the average Nigerian who is, or let me use African or Indian, these are the popular countries where Africans and Indians were the ones who are so, they say if you go anywhere you don't find an Indian or a Nigerian, leave the country. Right? Because it means that things are not going well for them. So the average Indian or the average African now, so let me just say they are hungry, right? Somebody is looking for an opportunity. So if you offer them something that these big tech companies or a big 5 company now would pay, because in the US they have employment rules. Let me use the US for example. They have solid human resource employment rules that guide everything that they do, right? And because they do that, you can't pay somebody less than how much they should be paid. But they know that somebody who is an African or an Indian is looking for money.
Yeah.
So instead of paying this person in the US who has the same skill and is probably not as dedicated as this Nigerian guy, I would come to Nigeria to look for cheap talent. So that's why you see that the job descriptions are still the same, but the pay is lesser.
Yeah.
Because they find out that there is cheap talent here. These guys will do the work and they are not asking for half as much as our own guys.
Their own is just...
Yeah. So let's pick from them because they are ready. The average Nigerian will not even negotiate. Something that, okay, let me use a personal story. The first time I was going to get my first remote job, I remember they replied back to me after the interview and all of that, and I had passed, and they replied back to me and said, how much would you like to be paid in USD? I remember the amount I wanted to call. Now, this is what I mean about, and maybe we'll talk about this later, community and mentorship and all of that. You have to have a community or mentors or people who have gone ahead of you, or else you would shortchange yourself. What I needed at that point, if they had paid me that money, I would still have felt like I was fulfilled. And I was forever grateful to my friend who was already in that space that advised me that, no, what do you mean you want to tell them that? I was going to send it. I was just like, let me ask this guy how much I should. You know, and if I had charged that, they would have agreed, right?
And they'll keep quiet
Yes,
about
and they wouldn't ask me for that. So I think most times the average Nigerian doesn't negotiate because of the fear of losing the opportunity. So they're like, maybe if I tell them, because the actual amount my friend eventually told me to tell them, I didn't. I still cut it down a bit because if I send it to them and they say, we're not, they will not reply back to you, and that was all. Like, bro, even if not 2K, they want
Let me just
make I just chop them. Like, I collect them first. So, you know, I just that's the fear of the average Nigerian. So they don't bother negotiating. So to answer the question finally, is cheap talent. That's the answer. They find cheap talent in African and Indian countries, and they pull people from there because they know that you will do the same job for way lesser than
For
they
way
should
lesser
be
than
paying.
that.
Yes.
And that is not right.
Yes, that's not right.
Okay, well, it's still the mid-morning show. We have to go on this short break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back from that short break. And that quote is a whole lot,
I would say, yeah.
of description. The precariatrist is not just a group of insecure workers, it is a class in the making, and that's coming from guys standing. And I think we're going to take that. What do you be? Okay, let me just say, what can you say about that quote?
Because it's the truth. Because there are people who are, it's becoming like a general thing now. Before it used to be just over here and there, but now everybody is, all the people that are working, they are now in precarious situations. Everybody's just working.
Everybody's just doing it.
Everybody's working to make money, you know, like, and not to make money of what they are worth. And I don't think it's the issue of not knowing what you are worth. I think it's an issue of just surviving. Because I know what I'm worth, but they are not willing to pay what I'm worth. So let me just collect what they are willing to pay right now. And, you know.
And not even minding the fact that it might affect, you know, we have so many remote workers, and there's a time that Nigerians were not into it. There was this silence. People were making their money silently,
Yes.
and Nigerians were not fully aware. But all of a sudden, Nigerians are aware that some countries are willing to pay as low as $5. And someone now told and said, someone said, posted online that wherever you see too many Nigerians, the hustle is sure. Too many of them are there, and they have brought down the vibe, the good vibe of the remote work. So what can you say about that? Because we've seen so many remote workers that say Nigerians are their pain in the space. Then you ask them, they say, hey, because before too many people came in, I know how much I can charge. But now, everybody keeps taking the job. Then we also have some people who will claim that they are in charge of hires. Okay, I work with a company abroad, I can hire, so you can come under my agency, and I will employ you. And there's so many stories behind all this. But based on your experience, what can you say about all that?
So first thing, I'll address the one about, you know, when too many Nigerians are in a place. Now, this is a major, that thing that you just said is a major issue. Like, but although it's something that I've avoided, because if you've been here, if you've been in the space for a while, it won't really affect you.
Okay.
Although it will, but it won't affect you on a large scale. But I'm saying, and this is a message to any Nigerian that is hearing me now, this thing, we are shortchanging ourselves, and it's causing issues for those who have been in the space for a while. So, for example, let me use an example. Let's say I get a job, and normally this job, we charge $500 for it. That's the standard price. $500 maybe per month if it's a contract. Then maybe stuff like that. And then there's a guy that has been looking for jobs for a long time.
Yeah.
He didn't get a job. He's hungry. Life is not going well for him, his family, and all of that. And then he will now come to. That's why people hide their updates now. He will now come to the place that you are and now say that he can do it for $250. Wow. So then when these people now see that this guy is doing the same job and even more sometimes, because those people are more.
They are the ones who are really,
And this guy is doing the same job and more for $250. That reduces the price. And those guys that hire, they will never increase it again. They'll just be like, oh, $250, that's not the name. So we keep on shortchanging it. After that $50 guy, when he has enjoyed himself for a while, there will be another person that will accept 100. I'm telling you, people will take anything just to get
Survive.
by. Yeah, so I think that's one of the issues. You need to have a standard. You need to have like a rate card, like have a standard. But I mean, it's hard to say from. You can say these things from a position of comfort.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say for somebody who has not gotten anything for the past 3 years and they don't have any means of survival and they're offering them 100 and you say that they should not collect it because you don't want them to. So I think we still just need to do better at the end of the day. Get the country working, get life easy for people. That's what will really help. And then on the second platform of agencies, that one is another disease, right? Like, I don't know why we do this to ourselves, and it's majorly Nigerians. When you get a hire from outside, they treat you so well, you are shocked. But when a Nigerian is hiring, especially if it's a Nigerian that has an agency that connects job from outside the country, I'll use an example of a friend of mine. I'm sure he's watching this right now because I sent him the link. He got a job with the agency in this country, and he's a lady, fair women. But yeah, he got a job with the agency, and then. He told them, so they hired him and they said they'll be paying him 600,000 naira monthly. And this was a breakthrough for him because we had been hoping for a job for a while. He got a job and the person ghosted him and all of that. That's one of the issues with remote jobs. Ghosting. They can just ghost you and not pay you anymore and you don't know that your job has gone. And you're just there hoping that the person will message you back. So they ghosted him and he was in a bad place for a while. So he got that job, 600,000. We were so excited, right? So he started working. And then the person, once you start working, it's no more through the agency. You're working directly with the person that the agency hired you for. So she was making certain demands of him. And he was wondering that, how can you making this demand when you're paying me this amount? Yeah. But the woman knew that she was, so the actual pay for the job was about 2.2 million naira. And the agency was paying him 600,000.
Oh, she will demand.
Yeah, so she was demanding work of 2.2 million naira. So she was asking him, oh, can't you just buy extra monitors? Buy this, buy that. And then he was like, oh, so because he was a virtual assistant role, because he had access to the woman's emails, because he was a virtual assistant. So but he would naturally not go and check it. But this time around, he found out there's something off here. So the payment email for his pay, because they paid the agency to pay him. And he saw the amount. And I was shocked by it because even if you're an agency, you can take finder's fee and say, oh, for finding you this person.
Okay, maybe 5% or something. Or
maybe from the first month's salary. But now consistently taking over 70% of the person that is doing the work and giving them 20%. It's just bad. And that's just one example. There are several agencies that are doing the exact same thing. And I think it's one of the issues of us just being Nigerian. Because I've also been in that shoe sometimes where, there's a job in the US. Remote jobs in the US. Because of the sensitivity of my field, cybersecurity, they don't want to employ Nigerians. They just tell you, because of the country's image. The country's image is not so encouraging. In fact, there are freelancing platforms that will give you remote jobs easily, where there are a lot of remote jobs that don't allow Nigerians sign up. I could even mention several. We have Fiverr, we have Upwork. Those are like good platforms. They allow Nigerians sign up. But there are platforms like Aligner, Outlier. They don't allow Nigerians because Nigerians have used, there are certain bad eggs who have used it for corrupt, so they don't allow Nigerians. So in that kind of situation, I've been in a situation before where, a Nigerian gets the job and then they outsource it to you. because they are already, maybe Nigerian that has gone to the US and they are now, citizens or permanent residents. They can now get those jobs. But if you apply directly, they will just say, sorry, we're not hiring from your location.
But we have seen some people who complain that they don't even want to have to work with Nigerians in diaspora at any form.
Yes.
Because they will tell you that the Nigerians in diaspora will tell you how much they will calculate, how much they are going to pay you.
Yes.
And they feel that it's way too much. And
Yes.
So,
because Nigerians in diaspora have a sense of the rate, the exchange rate.
Okay.
So they're like, this job is actually worth $3,000, but $3,000 is about 4 million naira plus. This guy doesn't really need 4 million naira, so let me pay him $1,000 because that's already huge money in his context. So people abroad are not really aware of that, so they will just pay you 3,000. But a Nigerian is already calculating that 4 million is budget. So 4 million is too much, so let me just pay him. Yeah,
so what are those red flags individuals should look out for before getting a remote job?
First of all, is pricing, right? If you see somebody who is trying to shortchange you, don't accept. There are better opportunities out there. Just persevere, get better. If you get better at your skills, there's no way an opportunity is not looking for you. People are looking for. There's still a job. There are still roles that are unfilled. There's still a lack of skill in the employment. So if you get better at what you're doing, and you stand out in the crowd, you will get better offers. So don't settle for less. Secondly, sorry. Yeah, secondly is the job description.
Yeah.
Every time you want to get a remote role, make sure you inspect the job description. Because somebody is hiring you, let's say for a virtual assistant role, and then you'll be doing social media management.
You want to be the graphic artist.
You will do graphic design.
Use social media.
You will do literally everything for peanuts. And you're like, this job description is already saying that I will also be, how can I be a virtual assistant? And you put there that, and they'll put vague things like miscellaneous activity. What is miscellaneous? Define, let me know what this job description is, what I'm going to do. Right, so I think that's something those are the two things that I think you should look out for. Those are red flags.
Okay, so but how can Nigerians now deal with desperation? Because there are lots of Nigerians out there that are really, really desperate for this kind of jobs. Like you cited example earlier, whereby, on the platform, it's a $500 job, but they are really, really desperate, to get these jobs. How can they deal with it?
That's a tough question because I can answer from my point of view and say, oh, don't be desperate. Stay, wait for it.
Because you
but
have.
As I'm saying, wait for it.
You have.
Yeah, so as I'm saying, wait for it, I can't assure you. Okay, I've been in a position where, I lost there was a time when there was a government shutdown in the US because of they had some government shutdowns happen in the US where contractors, consultants from outside the country, or maybe even contractors inside the country, they just shut down operations and make everything minimal so that government can still go on. So there was a government shutdown, and then, I get into a meeting with my manager, and he's like, so we're sorry, we're going to have to. Nigerians have not yet moved to the remote. So everybody wants the employee, is this job remote in the interview? Is this job remote? No, it's hybrid.
That's what they use, hybrid.
I don't want to come to the office at all. Do you accept that? No, we don't do remote jobs. Okay, bye. And then I knew that it was way lesser than I should be getting paid.
Yeah.
But because at that time I needed something to get by with, I just took the job, right? I took the job and I was working it. I found out later that the guy was getting paid like maybe 5 times more than what he was paying. But but I took it at the time. So when we're talking about desperation, in the context of the fact that people need to survive, people need to get by, that's negotiate. When you negotiate many times, those people don't push back. They just need you to be bold. And if you agree with whatever they give you, they will pay you that amount. But if you say, oh no, and one thing that I think I should also speak about is anchoring your rates. So don't give a flat rate and say, oh, I take $15 per hour. That's already a flat rate. Push them forward a bit. Say, oh, what's your budget for this role?
Okay,
when they ask you how much do you want to be paid, you say, what is your budget for this role? Most of the time, what you were thinking in your head was not close to how much they want. So when they mention the budget, you're like, and then they're like, is that okay with you? And then you need to anchor. So if they ask you and they say, oh, we don't have a budget, we want to know, You say, oh, okay, for this kind of project, depending on the scope, I take 40 to 60 per hour. So you've put it,
Yeah.
so now they have to just make sure you continue pushing the responsibility of payment on them. Most of the time, your negotiation helps a lot so that you will not be shortchanged. So don't be desperate, but also make sure to negotiate. Because
Now
it's
you're saying
important.
negotiating. Okay, that's a skill.
Yeah, that's the skill.
Because to negotiate, not everyone who has that ability to negotiate. So what, aside that skill, negotiation skills, so what are those important skills that an individual must have in order to survive in having...
Most of those advertisements you see online of who want to get a role, you will see that over 1,000 people have applied. Who has the time? So most people do these things by recommendation. I know this guy is good.
Yeah.
Put him on. Simple. You've got I've never applied to a role. Never. Like ever. Never applied. I mean, I have applied, but I'm saying I've never gotten a job through application.
Through application.
Okay.
Yes. Most of all remote roles I've ever gotten are through, oh, I know this guy who send me your CV. Oh, do you want to work here? Do you want to do this? So I feel like community is very important. If you want to get remote jobs, find a community of people who already do this thing, who already have some kind of exposure. Because people, especially because that is also important because of the image of our image, like I said, the outlook of the country. So when those people abroad want to employ, they ask people that they already trust. And they say, oh, I trust this guy too. He can do the work. So we give this guy. So that's what I'm saying. So community is very important. It's a very important skill that you must develop. You must be able to go for events, network people. You know the field that you want to get into.
Yes.
Digital marketing, virtual assistant. All these fields have events. They have community events from time to time. Find out what events. I mean, I've done a lot of... I started as a graphic designer. I moved from graphic designing. My first remote role was remote, but it was freelancing at the time.
Okay.
But my first foreign paying was graphic design. From graphic design to network with people, meet people. Don't be too proud or egoistic to tell people, I don't have a job, bro. I'm just here. I'm just here.
Don't be too proud to say you don't have a
I'm
job.
wearing clothes like everybody. But you find out that there are many opportunities around, right? Many opportunities around. But because you are not speaking up, nobody is thinking of helping you. So when you say, oh, you will be in the person's mind the next time, so community is something that you should learn. Negotiation is something that you should learn. Then one last thing would be discipline.
Discipline.
If you want to stay
Comes
in,
down to discipline.
if you want to stay in remote
You have to have that
roles,
discipline.
you have to have the discipline to be able to say, these are my work hours. This is what for me now, when there's daylight savings, it's 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. So, and those people don't joke with their time. They are paying you for 8 hours.
They will use the 8
Your
hours.
8 hours must be used, right? So, because of the time difference, it takes more discipline because now it's in the evening when everybody is resting that I'll start working. And I have to work through those hours. And so the kind of discipline that it takes, by 11 p.m. you're sleepy, but that's 3 o'clock. In the US, your boss can message you and say, let's get on a call, let's get on a meeting. You can't be looking sleepy or be looking tattered or be looking, So I'm saying that discipline has to come into your work because you know that the kind of job you are doing is not the one that affords you the luxury of being around people that you can talk to or being around people that can help you.
You have to be in your own space sometimes.
Yeah, be in yours. Don't work, I always tell people, because you're working remotely, don't work on your bed. Don't work, have a dedicated workspace where you stand up like you are going to work, where you stand up and sit at during your work hours. Because these things will translate into the kind of work that you do, and these people will see it and then decide if you will continue with them or not. Yes.
Wow.
Okay, beautiful.
We have to go on this
Let's go
break,
on this
yeah.
short break. We're still the mid-morning show. Please stay with us.
state, country.
Thank
Lagos,
you.
Nigeria.
Thank
Oyo,
you.
Oyo, Nigeria.
All right. The conversation is seriously going on here, and our topic is remote jobs and the global pay gap. And our guest, Mr. Ayola Odekule, who is a tech enthusiast and a cybersecurity expert. Now, that quote is a different ball game entirely. I don't know if we can get that quote now. Trade has lifted millions out of poverty, but we must ensure it works for all. And I think that's what you've been trying to talk about, why we must survive in the remote work, the red flags, the job description, the discipline, all these we need to focus on. But when we were on that break, we talked about CV and portfolios. How important is this in having a stable remote work?
I'll start by saying this. Most people who have applied for roles, and they've been applying for a long time, they have no idea that their CV has even never been looked at. Yes.
And they've been applying.
They've been applying and it has never been looked. There's something called the ATS, right?
Okay.
The ATS is a framework that HR people use to filter CVs. So there's a way your CV will look once they pass it through that platform, and it won't be able to pick. There's a way CVs must look. People don't even know this. It's like, so once they pass your CV, yes, once they pass your CV through the ATS, and it doesn't fall into that format, it filters it out. So in the whole application, no, because a lot of people apply for jobs now. You post a job and you see 1,500 applications, right? I can't be going through 1,500 except you want to burn out, right? So I go through all of that, and I just put it through the ATS. You put it through the ATS, and your CV was never able. I'm hiring for a role currently, and that role, I was looking at the CVs with a friend of mine who was helping me. I was using his firm to hire for the role, and I was looking at the resumes. Some of them might actually be good at what they are doing, but from the resume, I just said no, because nobody has time to come and
those things actually?
Yeah, I would mention that. So before you get to the interview to prove yourself, is before you feel like, oh, when I get to interview, they ask me, I can answer any question. You are not even going to get an interview if you have a bad CV. So those guys that we removed might have been great guys. They might have been good at their job. But because of the way their portfolio was presented, they weren't even given an opportunity to move to the next stage. So for example, you see a CV, the person first puts their picture. First of all, your picture is not important on your CV. You don't need to have your picture. Even if you're going to have it, let it be like a passport. Not like a big... I'm not trying to employ you for your looks. And even if you're putting your picture, let it be your face. Why am I seeing your whole body? Like, you get? And then you now say, oh, this is this. Then you now put your full house address, 42 Alegongo, Kuponi Avenue. I'm not coming to visit you. On a proper CV, your address should be your state and your country. Arizona, US, Texas, US, Lagos, Nigeria, Oyo, Nigeria. Not your entire address. Then you see people are putting other details like sex, I'm male, I'm female. Why? Then you put your date of birth on your CV. Like,
so you know the age now.
Why is your date of birth on your CV? In fact, if I wanted to employ somebody from 28 years old, you've already told me that you're 40. You've already put yourself at a disadvantage, right? Then education, your kindergarten, your primary school, you told me you did WAEC. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that on your CV. Like, there are many things that are on the CV nowadays. You are entry level. You've not had any experience, and your CV is 3 pages. Do you know that the global standard for your entry level CV is 1 page? Once they see 2 pages, they don't even open it. Wow. So all your information should be able to fit on a page, except you're a director or somebody who has gone very far. As I am now, my CV is 2 pages. And the most important information is on the first page.
So that they'll not even get
like there's
distracted.
no point putting, there are many things that shouldn't be on your CV. Countless things, like all the things I've mentioned.
How about portfolio? Is there any difference between the CV and
yes,
the portfolio?
the CV and the portfolio are 2 different things, the resume and the portfolio. So there are certain jobs that need a portfolio, there are certain ones that don't. If you're looking for a tech job, I want to see the projects that you've done before. If you're looking for graphic design, I want to see the projects you've done before. As a virtual assistant, I want to see your portfolio, like what platforms can you work with? What platforms have you worked with? right? So all those things, you need to create a portfolio that you attach to your resume and send. Out, I want to employ a virtual assistant and you send me only your CV. I already know that you are not serious. I want to employ a graphic designer. You send me only your CV, not your portfolio.
Some people get confused when they have a job description and they say, tell us the tools we use, maybe the skills you're going to use. Some people might not even think that they need to have their CV or a portfolio to it.
Yeah, because you need, if I give you, for example, every time I apply for a job, I tailor my CV to that role.
Oh, okay.
It also speaks to laziness, actually. You want to apply for a role, you are not ready to do the grunt work. So you must be able to, if they're asking for, in my field, there are many roles. As a cybersecurity engineer, you can be a network security engineer, a database security engineer, you can be a governance, risk, and compliance analyst. You can be many things. Yeah. So when you want to apply to a role and they are looking for a risk analyst, you don't just dump your security engineer CV on them for them to start looking for. Tailor your CVs. I have several CVs for the several roles. Yeah. So if tailor your CV to the role, it helps you to stand out. There are many things that help you stand out. Your CV should be your name, your contact information, then a brief description of who you are, and then your experience immediately. Any other thing before that, you're just wasting time.
Wow.
Your experience, then you can now add your certifications, then your university degree. Nobody cares whether you did secondary school or WAEC. Nobody employs anybody because of WAEC. I don't think anybody does. Right? Anyway. Especially if you're looking for remote roles. Nobody's employing you for WAEC. In fact, I could say that all the roles I've ever been, they've not even ever asked if I had a degree. And that's something to also speak to. Yes, to get remote roles, most of the time, you need industry certifications.
Oh, okay.
So most of these industries have certifications. Virtual assistants, they have certifications. Cybersecurity certifications, front-end engineering. They all have, all those roles have certifications. So that's what people look out for. Are you certified in this? I've done computer science. Many people are doing computer science. Okay. Are you certified in Microsoft, in Azure, in AWS? Have you gone through their exams? Are you certified for it? They ask for this certification. So those are the things that should be in your portfolio. Those are the things that will help you stand out. So in the moment when you are waiting for a remote role or anything, you can take these exams, do these certifications, do this. And most of the time, do those certifications on your own. We have, I'm not shading schools in Nigeria, but we have, tech schools in quotes in Nigeria that say they are training people for these certifications and they charge exorbitantly. You hear $600,000 to learn this certification, something that you would pay like $75 for. All right. Although they help you because they structure your learnings and all of that. But, like I said, if you're disciplined enough, you can do it on your own. Yes.
Okay, so before we wrap up now, you've been mentioning some particular words I would like you to expatiate more on. You've been talking about front end, back end, and as a computer science major myself, I can say full stack too. Can you expatiate more on this for our viewers out there?
Okay, so the front end, the back end, the front end engineer. So when you look at a typical website, right?
Okay, yeah.
There's the interface that greets you. If you go to www.bcos.tv, that's the website, right? Yeah. There's an interface that greets you. The old design, color blue, color white, and all of that. That's the job of the front end guy. He engineers that. The UI UX designer designs it, but the front end guy engineers it. He makes it happen, right? So the front end guy is like, I'm everything on the front end, just like the name implies. The back end guy is what makes when you click, let's say, homepage, it takes you there. The front end guy can design it, but if they don't design the engine, it's like a car. It's beautiful on the outside. If the engine is not working, you can't go anywhere, literally. So the back end guy does the engine of the website. So that's what that guy does. So I think you mentioned. Then a full stack engineer is somebody who, like stack. So most of the time, for those engineering roles especially, they ask you, what's your stack? Do you do Java? Do you do TypeScript?
So these are
do you do
things
this?
that people in tech
need
to know.
So the full stack guy is the guy that does everything. Like I like to call myself like a full stack cybersecurity guy because I do most of the roles in cybersecurity. So use the full stack guy is the guy that Bobo Nishe is the one that does like there's no stack that he doesn't. So that's another thing. That's a way to stand out. Because now that there are many people learning, you want to hear something, I want to learn a skill, I want to learn a tech skill. Most people learn the basic normal front end, maybe JavaScript or one single stack or two stacks. But a average company that wants to minimize their spendings will want to employ a
decide to
full
go
stack
for a
guy
full stack,
because the full stack guy can do everything. And there's just a few people who have the tenacity to go towards full stack. And that's another thing that we need to also talk about.
Dolapo,
Tenacity.
you are getting
Tenacity.
free
Because
webinar here.
yeah, people come to you and they say, once they see that things are going well for you, they say, I want to learn cybersecurity, I want to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they think it will take them 6 months to start making money. I started, when I got serious, I started 2021. It took me some years of groveling to get to, wherever I think I am now, where I'm also. So I'm saying that there are people don't have the tenacity anymore. You don't want to wait 1 year. You don't want to lock in. If I was still telling my younger brother yesterday that if you spend time, if you truly give yourself to something, it will yield you results, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we've missed. You need to be able to give yourself to it, not expecting any rewards first. This get rich quick thing that the average Nigerian youth has. I just want to do something that will bring me money now. That's why we fall for scams. That's
So
why we
many
fall for
scams,
scams.
yeah.
Like the issue of CBEX, because it was a put money, get it now. So we fall for scams because we do not have the tenacity to wait for rewards. That thing that they call delayed gratification, we don't have it. We want to get the money right now. So if you come to me, you want to learn, the first thing I do to filter people out, because I don't want stress. You can stress yourself over people and then they
Because
end up
you
embarrassing you.
hire someone and you are the one doing the job.
Yes, now you send them a link to take a course. That's where most of them filter away. When you want somebody just tell you, they are very excited.
They don't have that
Oh
time.
my God, I want to learn this. Okay, take this link. It's not like I can't start showing you the ropes immediately. Let me see your dedication. Take these 6 courses and come back. Most of them, they never come. The average person never comes.
So it's in
Never.
discipline and laziness.
Yes.
Your last words to anyone who's watching and maybe wants to get a remote work or even in a remote job.
So to those who want to get a remote job, I'll say, give yourself to the process. If you are skilled enough, there's a job out there for you. If you build up your skills, if you give yourself to it. In fact, that's why many remote guys are working 4 or 5 roles. You see the average guy that's working remotely is working more than 1 role. So it's not the lack of jobs. It's because the skilled people are the ones that are being sought out for.
Yeah.
So if you have skill, that job that guy took as his 5th job would have probably been your job. But because the guy is so skilled, companies are looking for him and he's working with all of them at the same time. So I would say to the person that wants to get a remote job, get your skill up. It's not okay to be basic.
Okay.
Get better. And then to the person that is already in a remote job, just stay disciplined. I understand the distractions that can come with working remotely. There are many distractions that come with it, but stay disciplined. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so very
Mr.
much for
Ayola Odekunle. He's a tech enthusiast and a cybersecurity expert. In all that he has said, please let's not be lazy and let's not be indisciplined.
Indisciplined is
The
very
remote
important.
job is out there. Be skilled and position yourself. We'll go on this break. We'll be right back.